No, it
Did you?
seems so incredible how progressives who once fought racism now are fighting to include racism in our constitution. But Peter Baldwin, there seems to be a split here, right? Labor politicians who've retired, don't have anything to lose, I guess, seem much more against this idea. I've mentioned a number of them. You're one of them. How many are there of your former colleagues do you think are that are against this voice? And why is there this split between that generation and this new one that seem red hot to bring back racism and stick it in our constitution?
Well, I can't identify any people other than those who've publicly stated a viewpoint about it, so I can't give you any numbers. But there's a couple of aspects to that. Number one, it's partly generational. I mean, I got involved in left-wing politics in the late 1960s, and which took the view about race, which I just described, and contrast that with the current view. Would you like to hear my favourite example of something that I heard on the ABC, unsurprisingly, that encapsulates the current mentality? I mean, this is the sort of thing that I find unbelievable. Can I just quickly quote something?
Go right ahead.
There's a program on the ABC called The Minefield, which is supposed to deal with ethical dilemmas and so-called wicked problems. And it's moderated by a guy called Scott Stevens. And there was an episode called, with the title, Wrong to be White. It's interesting in itself, isn't it?
Oh, for God's sake.
But it went on for about 50 minutes. And it was a recitation of the problems of systemic racism and whiteness. Whiteness is treated as some sort of defect. And towards the end of it, the host, this is Scott Stevens, said the following. I'll read it to you. I was careful to transcribe it because I could barely believe it. The great moral debility about being white is that people have willfully chosen the trinkets and accoutrements of the accretions of power and privilege over a much more fundamental bondedness with other human beings. I mean, that is,
Peter,
if we were speaking in a
you're driving me nuts. Don't get me angry. You're firing me up. Don't read out any more of that because
it's an absolute classic. I mean, that is, if we were speaking in a theological register, we
that
would
is
call that a tremendous.
Peter Baldwin, no wonder people want to be like Bruce Pascoe.
So,
well, no wonder people want to be like Bruce Pascoe and call themselves Aboriginal instead, Peter. Yeah, well, that's it. Peter Baldwin, I urge people to read your essay in Quadrant today because this cannot stand what's going on. Thank you so much for your time.